Hey, this is my first YouTube live stream since May 6th, which was about a week after I moved. Since May 6th. Half of the reason I want to do this is just to test out my audio, because the last time I did a YouTube live stream after I made my move from the Chicagoland region, the audio was horrible. So on a scale from 1 to 10, I want you to put in the chat room, on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10, of course, being the best, give me a rating of the audio quality. Give me a rating of the audio quality. I need a rating of the audio quality. From 1 to 10. Give me a rating. Uh-oh. Somebody said as low as a 1. Wow. Darker Vision said it was. Now, a lot of other people saying it's pretty decent. It's range anywhere from 5 and up. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. AT says sounds a little muffled. Sounds like an empty room. But Ace of Spades gave it an 8. Oh, wow. Gold Still said audio sounds low, like 3. So what about when I talk right into the mic? Certified Tyrone like a hallway, LOL. Not sharp or crisp. Sounds muffled. Low compared to other channels. Okay, but I'm not going to. Let me see here. I'm probably not going to continue this if the testing 1, 2, 3 again. It might be the reverb and acoustics, but we can make out what you're saying. I don't think the audio is going into the mic. No, the sound volume is good, just sounds bad. Huh. Okay. Hold on a second, fellas.
Mode 1.
Okay, I messed around with some things. Still sound about the same. Still sound about the same. Still sound about the same. Can you guys hear me? Same. Huh. Certified Tyrone says a little better. It's all good. Okay, I'm gonna move my microphone down. I don't know. I can't hold it. We might not have the right. You might not have the right mic for podcasting. A cardioid type microphone is specifically designed, for example, to pick up sound from the front and sides, but poorly from the rear. Well, GoCo, I do have a mic. What do you mean you need a mic? You mean a better mic? Is what you said? Here's my microphone. This is my microphone I'm using. I'm gonna try one more thing in my settings and see if it makes a difference. Okay, what about now? What about now? Okay, Red Gemini says good. Much better. Way better. Oh, wow. Much better. Way better. Oh, boy, I might be in business. I might be in business. Everybody's saying way better. Where's my. Uh-oh. Somebody said, uh-oh. Muted now? It's muted? Wait. Somebody said it's muted? It just went out. Oh shoot. I thought I was volume just went really low. Okay. Hold on one second. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing one. Your mic is on mode 3 or mode 4 right now. That's pretty funny. Think about American, that's pretty funny. My mic is on mode 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. You might have hit the gain when you moved the mic. Okay, is it better now or it's still low? Volume went a bit lower. there was a stretch where everybody was saying it's better, but now it seems like it went worse again. Audio went up. Now it's one. Barely can hear you. Cold Steel says audio went out. Now it's one. Barely can hear you. What's up, Grand Old Soul 90? Okay, now I'm gonna hold it right up to my mouth again. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Now, I hope this is not the only way you can hear me because I can't hold this mic like this. Testing 1, 2, 3. Nope, not plugged in. Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this live stream because it's not working. We hear your computer mic, not your plugged-in microphone. Wow, now that's weird, really weird. We hear your computer mic, but not your plugged-in microphone. Huh? Mel says, "Hey, we hear you loud now. Now it's good. It's fixed right now. Good now. Okay. Am I still good when I put the mic away from my right from my face? Need to disable the computer mic and make the plug-in mic primary. Keep it like that. Better. Keep it like that. Good. Yeah, it's good. Uh-huh. Oh, knocking over stuff. Okay. All right. Well, I'll say this. I'm gonna go with it as it is. It's not gonna be long at all. I'm gonna actually shoot for this being my shortest. Okay, AT. I don't know what that means. Is that a good thing or bad? Okay. Let's see. Coach still says quality is still bad. But Mark Farmer said don't move it. I'm confused. It's like some of you all are saying it sounds good, but other guys are saying the quality is still bad. So which is it? Does it sound good or does it sound bad? Lotus says it sounds loud and clear for him. Mark Farmer says it sounds good. No, I use Restream, Mel. I use Restream, not StreamYard. Another of Echo. Well, I appreciate that, Ace, but man, I was very disappointed. If there was one live stream I did, it was the very last one in early May. Man, because I remember I had people telling me my audio wasn't good for that one. At first, I thought some people were exaggerating, but then when I listened to the playback, it was horrible. That last year I did the first week of May, oh man, That's had to be the worst audio of any live stream I've ever done. Yeah, that live stream, that audio was horrible, man. And I just attribute it to, see, I moved to a new residence in my home office, the acoustics. The acoustics are different in this home office than they were in my previous residence. And Deep Video said I can hear with earphones. What's up, Ricardo Rodney? Uh, so would everybody agree that the audio is at least decent? If it's not great, is it at least decent? Or is it just like unbearable? Sounds like I'm going through my computer mic. Excuse me, hold on a second. Testing 1 2 3. 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 Mike ain't giving choosing signals. That's funny. Testing 1 2 3. 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 Okay, I'm seeing perfect. Testing 1 2 3. All right. All right, I'm gonna go with this. As I said, I'm gonna try to make this maybe the shortest, either the shortest or second show. The shortest live stream I've ever done is 1 hour and 4 minutes. We now almost a half hour into this. And okay, I'm getting a lot of thumbs up now. Tony LeGuin said, don't move anything. Like, don't move anything even a quarter of an inch. Just, okay. All right. All right. Now, other than testing my mic, which was very important to me. Now I know a lot of my, my listeners, supporters, even my own wife tells me, encourages me a lot of times to ignore, my haters and critics. But I've always said, if nothing else, sometimes my haters and critics give me ammunition for content. They give me content. But here was the most recent thing, and this is other than the mic test, this is the second most thing that prompted this live stream. I had this guy, I'm debating whether to say his name or not. I don't want to give him his channel any publicity, so that's why I don't want to say his name. I don't want to give his channel any unnecessary publicity. But number one, most people know how I feel about the vast majority of what I call conventional PUAs, and dating coaches who highly emphasize some variation of indirect verbal game. Indirect verbal game. Yeah. Out of these 5 categories, category number 3 is what most conventional pickup artists and a lot of dating coaches emphasize. Because in case you're new to my channel and you're not familiar with these 5 categories, here's what I've always asserted ever since I've been a book author and dating coach. I would say pretty much every method of getting a woman in bed falls under one of these 5 general categories. It's a subcategory. Every method is a subcategory of these 5 general categories. The 5 general categories are, and bear with me if you've heard these, a million times. Some of my longtime followers heard these 5 categories at least probably, 100 times. But for the newbies, start with attraction. Traction is when you're able to get women in bed using mainly your looks and your masculine sex appeal. Your looks, physical appearance, which includes your facial, the visual appeal of your face, the visual appeal of your physique, your grooming, your clothing, your hygiene, all that. That's your physical appearance. And then secondly is your masculine sex appeal. That includes your level of confidence and self-assurance,
your overall level of masculinity, and your degree of alpha male type erotic dominance. So if you can get women in bed just on those two qualities combined together, then that means you're using what I call looks game, sex appeal game, or sexual reputation game. Sexual reputation would be if you're getting some pussy. I just talked about that on my very last video. Matter of fact, one of my followers was laughing at it. He said he'd never heard the term referral pussy. Oh, that's me and my friends have used that term since the 1980s. Referral pussy. Yeah, that's when you referral pussy, which feeds into sexual reputation game. That's when you say, fuck a woman named Linda really, really good. And she tells like 5 of her girlfriends that you fucked her really, really good. And next thing you know, her 5 girlfriends are flirting with you and basically throwing pussy at you. That would be what's called referral pussy or sexual reputation game. That all falls under, once again, attraction. Okay? My main specialty, as most people know, is direct verbal game. If I can find it. Yeah. This is my number one. Out of the 5 categories, this is my number one area of expertise. And quite frankly, this is the category that most people refer to me as the GOAT. My nickname is the godfather of direct verbal game advice and wisdom. And many other people refer to me as the greatest of all time in terms of giving advice under this category, direct verbal game. My brand of direct verbal game is known as the Mode 1 approach philosophy. The Mode 1 approach philosophy. And as mentioned a little earlier, the vast majority of indirect dating coaches promote either flat out lying to women, emotional manipulation of women, or at bare minimum being vague and ambiguous with women. That would fall under indirect verbal game. Indirect verbal game. If you simply exchanging money and material possessions for a woman's sexual companionship, that falls under transactional sex. That's simply known as transactional sex. And then I would say of the 5 categories, probably the most despicable category, the category I have the least amount of respect for is when you're using a combination of physical force, physical aggression, physical coercion, combined with drugs and or alcohol, drugs and or liquor to get women in bed, which nowadays basically means, in simple terms, you're a date rapist. That's a date rapist. If you use physical aggression, physical force, physical coercion combined with some degree of drugs and or alcohol to get women in bed, that means in the 21st century, you're a date rapist. You're a date rapist. So, that was my quick recap of the 5 categories of getting women in bed. Get it? Got it good. Okay. Now, thank you for the super chat. Hey, I've been getting a super chat a long time, man. Since it's been over 2 months since I last got a super chat. Because again, this is my first live stream. I think this is the longest I've ever gone without doing it. It's either the longest or second longest I've ever gone without doing a YouTube live stream. I've still been doing my Patreon live streams. But as far as YouTube live streams, yeah, this is my first one since May 6th. May 6th was my last YouTube live stream. But yeah, thank you so much. It's only all about the Benjamins. Gives me a $4.99. Q2 says number 5 is pretty common. Well, if it may be common, but it's date rape. I can't speak for all countries. There might be some countries where there's an exception. But here in the United States, now I've always pointed out, there was a time Where category number 5 was considered unethical. It was considered unethical, but it wasn't illegal. Like in the 60s, 70s, and I say the first 2/3 of the 80s, using physical aggression to get women in bed and or drugs and alcohol to get women in bed, that was considered unethical, but it wasn't illegal. But starting with the mid to late 1990s and definitely into the 21st century, and it was partially because of a woman that I've interviewed on blog, not on YouTube, but on Blog Talk Radio, a woman named Katie Costner. Katie Costner, who, do I have a picture of her ready to go? No, I don't. But Katie Costner, you can look her up. She was the first hold on. This woman right here. I interviewed her, I think in 2014 on my Blog Talk Radio show called Upfront and Straightforward with Alan Roger Currie. She made the cover of Time magazine. She was the first one who really made date rape mainstream. Again, in the 60s, 70s, and the vast majority of the 80s, there was really no such thing as date rape. There was just conventional rape, where you got a woman got violated by a complete stranger. That was the only rape that most people recognize up until the very end of the 80s and beginning of the 90s. Katie Costner made news back in the early 90s because she was one of the main women who argued that even if you know a guy, he's not a complete stranger. You're like, he might be a high school classmate, college classmate, somebody from your neighborhood. She argued that if any man, regardless of how long you've known him, you could have known him for 10 years. If a guy uses the things I said, one of these two things, if not both, either physical aggression to get a woman to have sex with him, or drugs and or alcohol to get a woman to have sex with him, she argued that that was date rape. And that's when the term date rape took off. I want to say around 91, 92 was when the term date rape first took off. And anyway, nowadays, if you operate in category number 5, if you do anything that falls under category number 5, you are date raping a woman. A woman can charge you with date rape. Basically, anytime you have sex with a woman and she doesn't give you what's known as verbal consent, see, that's another thing that changed in different decades. See, there was a time in the 60s, 70s, and again, probably 2/3, 3/4 of the 80s, where you could get a woman in bed either with verbal consent or non-verbal consent. Now, you could get a woman in bed with both without risking anything. A simple example of non-verbal consent would be, let's say you invite a woman over your apartment and you guys are watching a Netflix movie and you start sipping on wine and you just start unbuttoning her blouse. And then after that, you start unzipping her skirt and taking off her panties. And she doesn't stop you. She doesn't say anything, but she doesn't stop you. That would be considered non-verbal consent. That's a woman giving you non-verbal consent. Verbal consent would be, of course, if a woman specifically says to you, hey, Robert, hey, Jonathan, hey, Leon, you got my pussy wet and I want you to fuck me. I want you to fuck me. You got me turned on. I want you to fuck me. She verbally says that to you. You got my pussy wet. I want you to fuck me. That's verbal consent. Early on, both were equally valid. Both verbal consent and non-verbal consent. There was a time when both were equally valid. But again, starting with no later than the mid 1990s, now society, again, I'm not going to speak for all countries, I'm speaking for the United States. In the United States, you have to have verbal consent. If you fuck a woman without having verbal consent, that woman can charge you with date rape. That doesn't mean that you'll automatically be convicted of date rape. If it goes to trial and you got a good lawyer, you can get acquitted. I had a fraternity brother who got accused of date rape, but he had a good lawyer and he got acquitted. So it doesn't automatically mean you're going to get convicted of date rape, but at minimum, you can be charged. If you don't have verbal consent from a woman, she can charge you with date rape. If you didn't know that before today, you know it now, courtesy of dating coach Alan Roger Currie. Yeah. If you fuck a woman in today's society in the United States without verbal consent, that one, particularly if the woman has drugs or alcohol in her system, if a woman has drugs or alcohol in her system, and on top of that, she didn't give you verbal consent, oh, she can very, very, very much charge you with date rape. Real talk. That woman can very, very much charge you with date rape because of this woman. Again, I interviewed her on my Blog Talk Radio show. Do y'all remember on one season of, I think it was The Bachelorette, where that black dude got in trouble? And I wrote this article for O'Shea Duke Jackson's website, The Negro Manosphere, called Plausible Deniability, Men, Women, Alcohol, and Date Rape. See, that's why you always hear me talk about in some of my videos, man. You never want to give a woman room for plausible deniability. The more you give a woman room for plausible deniability, the more likely she is to be able to charge you with date rape if you operate, again, in category number 5. Yeah, if you operate in category number 5 and you give a woman room for plausible, again, to refresh some of your memory, most of you all know what that means, but I'll give you a quick refresher for those who might have forgot. What does it mean to give a woman plausible deniability? That means you give a woman room to say that the only reason she had sex with you was because of this, something out of her control. Like if a woman is able to say, well, the only reason I had sex with Alan Roger Currie is because I was drunk. Because I had alcohol in my system, I was drunk. That's plausible deniability. If a woman was able to say, well, the only reason I had sex with Joe Johnson is because he gave me some cocaine and I was out of my mind high. I didn't know what I was doing. That's plausible deniability. If you physically force a woman, use physical aggression, a woman can say, well, the only reason I gave in to have sex with him because he was physically forcing me to have sex with him. I couldn't do anything. He was a man. He was bigger than me, stronger than me, and he physically forced me to have sex. Plausible deniability. One or two other examples related to indirect verbal game. Here's another one I just had. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, one method that falls on plausible deniability, if you told a woman you love her, or that you told her specifically you were interested in becoming her next long-term boyfriend or future husband. On a side note, I've mentioned before, there's a guy who sometimes comes in my chat room when I do live streams. Name is Allen, A-L-N, just like mine, but it's spelled differently, A-L-L-E-N. He's from India. If you're in the chat room, identify yourself. In India, If you tell a woman that you want to be in a long-term relationship with her or that you want to marry her just to score casual sex, did you know you could go to prison? Real talk. Same in Denmark, country of Denmark. Yeah, simply lying to women. Yeah, it's a crime. It's not just unethical. In those two countries, it's a crime. Yeah, India and Denmark, and there's some other countries that are trying to pass laws to follow suit. But at minimum, in those two countries, if you lie to a woman to get her in bed, you are going to prison. Yep, you are going to prison. You can't score casual sex by telling a woman that you want to be her next boyfriend or her future fiance and husband. Can't do that shit. Now, here in the United States, it's not illegal to do that, but it's considered unethical. It's not illegal, but it's definitely considered unethical. I frown on it. I'm not down with that. And I'll mention that probably only like 350 times, but I'll mention it 351 times. I'm not down with the lying shit. That's one reason I came up with my Mo One approach. I'm not down with that. That's cowardly to me. Not only is it unethical, it's the behavior of a coward. You have no backbone, man. Who I don't know. I don't know if I know who Adam 22. It just simply becomes your word against a woman if there's no witnesses. Honestly, sad to say, it becomes what's known as he say, she say. It's your word against the woman's. No, I didn't. Tell me about it. What happened in Denmark? Is it related to what I'm talking about? If it's related to what I'm talking about, please share details. But anyway, okay. Okay. Did that happen recently or a long time ago? Incel shooting. They happening more and more. Who was one of the first ones, if not the first one to predict the shit? You know, I always got to give myself credit when I know I was the first one to talk about it. Dude, I was talking. Most people know me and been following me for a long time. No, I predicted incel shootings and shit like that as far back as the mid 1990s. I didn't use the specific term incel back then. Starting with around 1995, I used to talk to a guy. I said, this is what I would tell guys when I lived in Los Angeles. I said, in the future, in the next 5, 10, 15 years, I said, you're going to have a lot of guys that I would categorize as romantically frustrated and sexually frustrated beta males. That's the term I used to use instead of incels. I used to call certain guys romantically and sexually frustrated beta males. As most people know, I was the first person in the manosphere to start using alpha and beta. Nobody was using alpha and beta before me. But yeah, I predicted that way back in the mid 90s, man. I said you're gonna have a lot of these romantically and sexually frustrated beta males that are going, because they're so frustrated over their lack of a love life or lack of casual sex, they not only going to just start whining and bitching about it, but they're going to start killing people. I said that as far back as 1995. Matter of fact, when a lot of these incel shootings started happening, a lot of guys who I told this to in California contacted me. They said, man, Dan, Alan, I remember when you was talking about this shit back in the 90s. And I was like, yep. Yeah, man, I started talking about that shit as far back as 1995. Thank you for the super chat, Ace of Spades. I'm French. I just read your book. Really inspiring. Not just a book in the seduction area in France. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate that compliment. Okay. Now here's again, 99% chance I'm not going to mention this guy's name because I don't want to give his YouTube channel any publicity. But he's a fairly well-known pickup artist. I think he's European based, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think he's based in the United States. I think he's based in Europe. Okay, I will give his initials, and this should give it off immediately. I'm not going to say the name. I'm going to just give his initials. J.A. 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 Let me give you the backstory. This guy first wrote me about 8 or 9 years ago. I got the email. He wrote me about 8 or 9 years ago. He said, "Hey, Alan, I'm a big fan of your book. And me and some guys are doing like an audio podcast. And I would love for you to join us on our audio podcast so we can discuss your book, your Mode 1 method, etc." And I respectfully declined. Among other reasons, I had never heard of him. I had never heard of him. That was like 8, 9 years ago. Now, fast forward to earlier this year. Most of you know who Anthony Johnson is. Most of you know who Anthony Johnson is. Let me bring up. He's the one who created and founded the 21 Convention. What? What do you mean failed to upload? What is that? What is that about? Okay. Most of you know who Anthony Johnson is. Yeah, he created and founded the event I spoke at twice called the 21 Convention. I want to say that was the first major convention, weekend conference for men in the worldwide manosphere. Anthony sent me a letter early this year saying something to the effect, "Alan, I would like to introduce you to J.A. and he's interested in interviewing you on his YouTube channel and possibly collaborating with you." Now, y'all know how I feel about collaborations. I'm not enthusiastic about collaborations. I'm what they call a lone wolf. And I've gotten a lot of flack from members of both the worldwide manosphere and the black manosphere over that. That's another topic for another day. But I'm not enthusiastic about collaborating with other pickup artists and or dating coaches. Don't believe in this shit. If other people want to do it, more power to them. I'm not a person who's into ongoing collaborations with other dating advisors. I like to roll solo. So the dude invites me to be a guest on his YouTube channel. Okay? Keep that in mind for what the shit I'm gonna say in just a little bit. Keep that in mind. First, let me pose a question to you. It's a rhetorical question, but let me pose a question for you. If you had my mouth getting dry, so I'm gonna have to get something to drink. Let's say you were a dating coach or a pickup artist or some other form of dating advisor. Let's say you were. And you had a lot of philosophical disagreements with the methods, philosophies, and techniques of another dating coach, pickup artist, dating advisor, etc. Okay? If you have philosophical disagreements with their methods, would you invite them to be a guest on your show? With the exception of if you particularly specifically wanted to shred the validity of their method to pieces, that would be the one exception. But if that was your objective, I would expect you going to be upfront and straightforward about that. But would you invite him on your show? I would say 99% chance to know you would not. So dude invited me to be a guest. For the second time, I respectfully declined. For the second time, I respectfully declined. And of course, I think me declining his invitation made him feel some kind of way. Now, let's fast forward to just a couple of days ago. You know, I've always mentioned most of the time when people are talking shit about me, I don't usually hear it firsthand myself. Usually, one of my followers, subscribers, supporters writes me a note and says, "Hey, Alan, there's this PUA or there's this dating coach or there's this YouTuber that's talking some shit about you." So somebody told me that JA said simply, nothing too elaborate. He just said on one of his live streams, he said, Mo1 is dumb. That's all he really said. He said, I think, well, how it started, somebody from the chat room, his chat room asked him, they said, what do you think about Alan Roger Currie's Mo1 approach philosophy? And he said, I think Mo1 is dumb. Now, in fairness, everybody has a right to their opinion. So I don't just go in on people simply because they have a philosophical disagreement with my Mo1 approach. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinions. So I'm not so petty that I'm going to go in on somebody simply because they disagree with my approach. So, I mean, he has the right to say Mo1 is dumb if that's how he genuinely feels. He has the right to say that. But by the same token, in the same way I've always said this, everybody has a right to their opinion. But that said, if you express an opinion about me or the contents of my books, then I have a right also to prove that your opinion is invalid. Just like you have the right to express your opinion, I have the right to offer a rebuttal or counter argument and prove that your assertion is invalid. So I'll start here. What's dumb about Mo1? Dumb means unintelligent. What's unintelligent about Mo1? What's unintelligent about Mo1? Something in my mouth. So I rate the dude. Here's what I had a problem with. Was not so much just the fact that he said ARC's Mo1 approach is dumb. But as I gave you the backstory, the dude wrote me this, heartfelt, sincere invitation to be a guest on his YouTube channel. And I respectfully declined. If you think my Mo1 approach is so dumb and unintelligent, then why 4 or 5 months ago were you inviting me to be a guest on your show? Huh? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. If you think my method is dumb, Why were you inviting me to be a guest on your show? Then he does, if that wasn't bad enough, then he does another live stream. I think last night, I want to say. Another one of my followers told me about his more recent live stream and basically said, ARC, JA is trashing you again. So I went over to his live stream. I didn't catch it while he was doing it. I caught the archive. But there was a brief portion, wasn't too long, brief portion, where somebody brought me up again. They said, basically like, what's your problem with ARC's Mo 1 approach? And again, he said, I think it's dumb. He said, I'm going to be slightly paraphrasing his words, but here was his justification for calling it dumb. He said, number one, if you use something like Alan Roger Currie's Mo 1 approach, you're only going to end up getting about maybe 5 to 10% of the women you meet in bed. You're going to end up getting 5 to 10% of the women you meet in bed. Okay, let's pause there. And shit, I'm going to be real with you. If you ask me, as most people know, in the bigger scheme of things, a 5 to 10% batting average with women is not bad. It ain't great, but it ain't bad either. I mean, I have some clients that are virgins that have never had some pussy. I have some clients that are not virgins, but they had no pussy in like 6 months, 12 months, 15 months, 18 months. 5 to 10% ain't bad. I mean, I just did a video, I think, 2 days ago, where I said, man, any pickup artist or dating coach that tries to make you believe that if you follow their advice, that you're going to end up in bed with 100% of the women you meet, 95% of women you meet, 90% of women you meet, 80% of women you meet, 75% of women you meet, that is a grifter. Quote me on that shit. That's a grifter. That's a snake oil salesman. That's a scam artist. That's a fucking grifter. Don't be that naive, particularly if you're young, if you're under 30. Don't be that naive, even though you might be sexually desperate. Don't be that naive, man. Because here's the thing I always say. If there was a method out there that you could get 75% or higher of the women you meet in the bed, the person who created that method, technique, or philosophy would be a multi-billionaire. Real talk. Hashtag facts. If there was a method that every heterosexual male who used that method was able to score no less than 73 out of every 4 women they meet, get them in the bed, whoever created that technique, method, philosophy would be a multi-billionaire. So you telling me that there's a method out there that if a guy is 4'11" and weighs 300 pounds and he got 4 teeth in his mouth and he haven't had a shower in like 2 weeks, you telling me he can use that method to fuck 3 out of 4 Victoria's Secret models? If you believe that shit, I got some swampland in Arizona to sell you ASAP. You telling me a guy look like Quasimodo or Shrek, who has poor hygiene, and a 1.5-inch penis when it's fully erect, can get 3 out of 4 women in bed by this magical technique? If you believe that, I have some swampland to sell you in North Dakota ASAP. So anyway, going back to his justifications for calling my Mode 1 approach philosophy dumb. His first was he said, if you use Mode 1, you can only expect to have a 5 to 10% success rate. And again, my response to that is, and? And? I would love for every individual heterosexual male client of mine to have a minimum of a 5% success rate. Of course, I would want it to be higher, but if you're talking about minimums, I would love for all 100% of my clients to have a 5% success rate. So you can say at least JA didn't say Mo 1 doesn't work at all. He just said his first justification for saying it's done. He said, you're only going to have a 5 to 10% success rate if you use Mo 1. And he basically argued that his method has a higher percentage, higher rate of success than that. I don't remember his exact percentage, but he just said it has a higher success rate than that. Then his second point was interesting. The second point was interesting. What do I always brag about when it comes to connecting with women in relation to my Mo 1 approach? We're going to see if anybody gave me some super chats. Now, anybody who's been a long-time follower of me knows this. I rarely, if ever, brag on how many women I've had sex with. I rarely, if ever, brag on how many women I've had casual sex with. Matter of fact, if anything, I'm probably, when it comes to just pure numbers, as most people know, if they own my book, Who Said Again, when it comes to like bragging on numbers, I've bragged on how many women I've had phone sex with more than I have how many women I've had physical sex with. Yeah, since 1991, I've had phone sex with a little over 2,100 women, with approximately 850 to 900 of those women paying me for the opportunity to play with their pussy for me. Yeah, I'll talk about that. We'll say it again. Yeah, I was a phone sex gigolo for a minimum of about 6-7 years. Yeah, I've had close to 1,000 women pay me for phone sex because I get every woman off. I get women off, if I say so myself. I mean, speaking of phone sex versus physical sex, I'm not scared to say it. I've made more women come through phone sex than I have physical sex in my life. For better or for worse. I've made more women come through phone sex than I have through physical sex. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, there's some women that I've had physical sex with. I don't know the exact percentage, but there's some women I've had physical sex with that I didn't make them come. I had at least minimum 1 or 2 episodes of sex with them where I did not make them come. I came. Selfish bastard. I came, but they didn't. But phone sex, I've never failed to make a woman come through phone sex, ever. Like literally, never, ever. Never, ever. I've never, I can say that with conviction, I've never failed to make a woman come through phone sex. Anyway, so his second justification for calling Mo 1 dumb, he says, well, from what I know about Alan Roger Currie, I don't think he's fucked more than like 400 women in his life. At most, maybe 500. He said, I fucked 1,500 women. And I have an Excel spreadsheet to back it up. which I find ridiculous. He said, I've had sex with 1,500. 1,500 exactly. That's not an estimation. I've literally had 1,500 women. Had sex with 1,500 women. And Ellen Roger Currie has only had sex from what I heard, somewhere between like 350 to 500 women. Y'all know what's coming. Y'all know what's coming. Insert dog face here. And where's my? Nah, I don't have it ready to go. I should have my. Where's my dog? Oh, there it is. He was literally bragging on this shit. He said, I've had. He actually claims. He said he claims he's had casual sex with more women than any PUA or dating coach associated with the minister. That's like supposedly his claim to fame. He said he's had casual sex with more women than any individual dating coach or PUA. Okay. Okay, this is. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for those super chats. Okay, somebody says what I was going to get to next. Somebody says what I was going to get to next. You can have sex with 1,000 chicks by paying them. Charlie Sheen, anyone? Charlie Sheen? Charlie Sheen, if you know who Charlie Sheen is, used to be on 2.5 Men and was in the movie Wall Street with Michael Douglas. He's probably the most well-known trick of all time. For the guy who got a little pussy by paying for it. He said he slept with about approximately 5,000 women in his adult life. And he admits that no less than probably 4,000 to 4,500 of those 5,000 women, he paid for it. If you paying for pussy, don't ever brag to me. You can brag to your listeners, subscribers, supporters, friends, family members. But if you brag to me, I'm going to laugh at your ass and I'm going to clown your ass. That don't mean shit. That is no achievement. And everybody knows I've talked to people, just like he's been talking to people to find out stuff about me. I've talked to people to find out stuff about J.A. J.A. has paid for a lot of his pussy. He ain't got that pussy for free. He's paid for a lot of that. I don't know the exact percentage, but there's a percentage of the women, that 1,500 women he had sex with, he paid for the shit. That don't fucking count. In my book, that don't count. That don't mean shit. Real talk. I said that when I first got on YouTube because I was having a debate with another black male YouTuber, and he said something to the effect of, there's no real difference between a womanizer and a trick. He basically tried to make the argument that if you have guy one who sleeps with 10 beautiful, sexy women, a womanizer sleeps with 10 beautiful, sexy women, but then a trick comes along and sleeps with those same exact 10 beautiful, sexy women, then what does it matter whether he paid for it or not? He still was able to fuck those same 10 beautiful, sexy women. Yeah, on the positive end, that would be the positive. The trick was able to fuck the same 10 beautiful, sexy women as the womanizer. But the downside is, as I pointed out in this debate, this was back in 2017 or early 2018. I told this guy, but he ain't got no bragging rights. He might have got the pussy, but man, some guys don't care about egotistical bragging rights. Only people with competitive egos like me care about that type of shit. But some guys just care about whether or not they get the pussy or not. If you're in that second category, you just care whether or not you got the pussy, then you probably don't matter whether you pay for it or not. But when it comes to egotistical bragging, you can't brag to me about pussy you paid for. See, this brother right here, no less than 95% of the casual sex pussy I've gotten in my life, I got for free. I didn't spend $1. Yes, I've talked about that many times. I would say roughly no less than 95% of the women I've had casual sex with in my life start with my 20s, early, like say the age of 19, 20, 21, up until the time I met my wife. I didn't spend $1 on her. It's only about, I'd say roughly about 4 to 5% of the women that I've had casual sex with that I might spend a few dollars, maybe $5, maybe $10. I'd say probably at most, maybe $20. Well, no, there was some women I tricked with in Amsterdam that I spent as much as, I think, 50 euros. I don't know what that is in US dollars, but 50 euros. Because I did do some tricking when I was in Amsterdam because I couldn't speak the language. They couldn't understand me. And I did some tricking in Tijuana, Mexico, but it didn't cost me more than like $20, $25. So yeah, I would say there's about 4 to 5% of women I've had casual sex with in my life that I spent at least $1. I'll say that, at least $1. But 95% of women I've had casual sex with, I didn't spend shit. I didn't spend nothing. Because I got a strong motherfucking mouthpiece. You don't get close to 1,000 women to pay you for phone sex if you got a less than average mouthpiece. Again, I said earlier in this live stream, if I had to give myself a combination of a compliment and a criticism known as accomplicism, I know how to make women come better over the phone probably than I do in person. Literally. I'll openly admit that. I've never failed to make a woman come over the phone, but there's been at minimum, there's been probably like 20, 25, 30% of the time that I've had at least one episode of physical sex with a woman where I did not make her come. But so yeah, he brags about having sex with 1,500 women. So yeah, his second justification, he said basically almost like a little kid, like, I've had more sex with Alan Currie, na 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 na. I've had more sex. I've had, at minimum, I've had sex with at least 3 times as many women as he has. So, you want a hero fucking cookie? You want a hero cookie, J.A.? You want a hero cookie for that? When you paid for a percentage of the women you fucked? I'm looking through the chat room. Thank you for these super chats. Thank you for these super chat, Ace of Spades. Yeah. If you're whining and dining women, in addition to tricking, if you're whining and dining, that's paying for pussy, man. That's paying for pussy. Matter of fact, to me, I've always said that's worse, actually, than tricking, believe it or not. I'm not a big fan of either one, but I think whining and dining women is worse than tricking. Why? Because at least with tricking, you being straight up. You're basically being Mo one, only you offering women money. But when you trick, you have to tell a woman straightforwardly that you want to fuck her. You can't be verbally indirect and be a trick. It's impossible to be verbally indirect and be a trick. When you're tricking, you have to be straightforwardly honest with women about the fact that you want to fuck. That's the one aspect of tricking I respect. I don't so much respect the money part, but I respect the fact that you got to be straight up with women about the fact that you want to fuck. Whining and dining, man, that don't take no balls, man. See, that's when you can be verbally indirect, man. Like taking a woman out on a dinner date and assuming she's going to reward you with pussy. That's when you open the door to basically be played like a simp. I've always pointed it out. When you wine and dine women, now here's where I defend whining and dining. And I always say this. There's one situation where I defend. Where's my? Oh, here it is. Yeah, man, when you wine and dine women, you're setting yourself up to be played like a simp, man. That's what makes a guy a simp, man, is when you start spending money. That's literally the main reason I wrote my book, The Possibility of Sex, was to point that out. That's literally the main reason why I wrote The Possibility of Sex. Is to point out that when you wine and dine women, man, you're not paying for guaranteed. See, with tricking, you're paying money for guaranteed pussy. You're guaranteed to get some pussy when you trick it. When you're whining and dining, you're not paying for guaranteed pussy. You're paying for the possibility of getting some pussy, which leads to simping. So again, that's the main reason why I wrote Possibility of Sex back in 2012, which is my most stolen book, on a side note. That's my most ripped, in case most people don't know, that's my most ripped up book. Some people think it's Mo 1. No, it's actually Mo 1 is actually number 3. The book of mine that has been ripped off the most, had the most talking points ripped out of it. Number 1 is The Possibility of Sex. And I'll probably say along with that would be No Free Attention, since this is essentially a rewrite of The Possibility of Sex. Those books, 2 books, would tie for number 1. Number 2, Beta Male Revolution. Yep, I've had quite a few people rip off talking points from the Beta Male Revolution. 3rd would be Mo 1. The least audiobook that I've had ripped off is Who Said Again. Because ain't nobody bad as me when it comes to mouthpiece and verbal seduction and erotic dirty talk. So yeah, that was the second thing. He was bragging on his lay count. Hey man, let me break this down. Again, I don't want this live stream to go too long. But as you can see in the title of this live stream, I'll put it in the title. This will be at least my 3rd video just this year, 2022, where I've attacked this whole notion of both lay count and lay count percentage. Lay count and lay count percentage. Lay count is simply when you bragging about how many women you slept with. Lay count success percentage is when you put it in percentage terms, like you say, I've approached 1,000 women in my life, and I slept with 250 of those 1,000 women, which would mean you have a lay count success percentage rate of 25%. Okay, here's the thing. Let me start bringing it on home. And again, I've said this on previous videos. And I can say this about myself, even before the days of the internet started or the creation of the manosphere started. If you were to talk to anybody who knew me back in the day, like let's say the mid to late 80s, as far back as the mid to late 80s, I've never given a fuck about how many women a guy has had sex with. Now, that might be important to some guys, and if it's important to some guys, more power to those guys. I'm just speaking solely for Ellen Roger Currie. How many women a guy has had sex with don't mean shit to me. And that's my rebuttal to J.A. He's bragging about he's been in bed with 1,500 women. Don't give a fuck. If his listeners give a fuck, God bless them. If his subscribers and supporters give a fuck, and male clients, God bless them. For me, I could give a fuck. Because what I always emphasize when it comes to getting women in bed is how did you get that woman in bed? Not if you got the woman in bed, but how did you get that woman in bed? If you're trying to impress me individually, you got to tell me how you got that woman in bed. Just telling me you slept with 2,000 women don't mean shit to me. I tell any pickup artist out there, that don't mean jack shit to me. Because my attitude is, you could have slept with more women than me. And I'm sure there's a number of PUAs and dating coaches that have slept with more women than me. I'll say this, if you've slept with over 1,000 women, you've slept with more women than me. But my attitude is, was your balls bigger than mine? Drops Mike, Denzel, where you at when I need you? Where you at? Was your balls bigger than mine? That's what I want to fucking know. If you're going to call yourself bragging to me specifically, was your balls bigger than mine? Everybody know I got the biggest balls of any dating coach or PUA out of here. Quote me on it. Have you ever gone up to a woman and the first thing out your mouth was, I can't wait to see my dick in your mouth? If you ain't never said nothing bolder than that, you ain't better than me. You ain't better than me. Your balls ain't bigger than mine. If the first thing out your mouth was, I would love to slide that dress up and fuck you doggy style, you ain't better than me. I'm talking to all these pickup artists and other indirect dating because you ain't better than me. Yeah, I got an ego like a motherfucker. I don't care if you fuck more bitches than me that you paid for, got drunk, lied to. If you ain't better than me with your verbal balls, don't talk shit to me. I'll run circles around all you motherfuckers when it comes to being under the category of these three things. Being a combination of verbally bold, straightforwardly honest, and smooth and seductive. Those three things combined together, I'm unmatched in this motherfucker, man. And that includes J.A. I'm unmatched in this motherfucker. And speaking of that, J.A. admitted it on his video. He admitted it. This is what he admitted. It was one thing he admitted. He was reading the email I sent him. I sent him an email about the distinction between Mo 1 hardcore. Do I have that here? Okay, yeah. I sent him an email with the distinction between Mo 1 hardcore. That's the boldest version of Mo 1. That's both the boldest and most sexually explicit version of Mo 1. Is Mo 1 hardcore. Then I have what I call standard Mo 1. And the most tame version of Mo 1 in terms of language would be Mo 1.5. So he was reading the email where I was distinguishing those three. He didn't really criticize Mo 1.5 on his live stream. He didn't really have too much to say about Mo 1.5. Most people don't. But he criticized Mo 1 hardcore and standard Mo 1. And here's, in his criticism of those two variations of Mo 1, here's where he basically made a confession, whether it was intentional or unintentional. I was just bragging about how big my balls were. He basically admitted he didn't have the balls to be Mo 1 hardcore with a woman. Yeah, he basically admitted it on his live stream. He said he was reading Mo 1, the description for Mo 1 hardcore. He said, "Oh, on one Currie, you go up to a woman and say something like R-rated, X-rated, triple X-rated in the first 90 seconds." And his voice went up. First 90 seconds? Yeah, I don't remember the exact words, so I'm gonna be paraphrasing, but he was like, "Oh my God, I would never do that. I would never go up to a woman and say something X-rated, triple X-rated to her in the first 90 seconds." And he tried to make it seem like he was saying that's stupid to do. No, motherfucker, you wouldn't do that because you don't have the balls that I do. My balls are bigger than yours. You don't have the balls to talk to your bitches like I do. I ain't scared to say shit to a woman. Like he had his little girlfriend, I don't know, girlfriend or partner off camera, and he said, "Hey, if somebody said something X-rated to you in the first 90 seconds, what would be your response?" And the woman off camera said, "Oh, I don't know about that. I think that might be illegal. I'm pretty sure in Brazil that that's illegal. Show me a country where X-rated language is fucking illegal. And please show me with documented evidence so I can know that that's a country I'll never fucking visit." Shit. Show me a country where you can't use X-rated language with a woman, and you'll be showing me a country I'll never pay a visit to. I know here in the United States, it's not illegal to use R-rated, X-rated, triple X-rated language. That is not illegal. No, it is not. Contrary to popular belief. Contrary to popular belief, that is not illegal. That takes me to, remember I did that video a couple years ago, about 3 years ago, about dumb arguments? That would bring me to dumb argument number 2. That would take me to dumb argument number 2. Man, all the R-rated, X-rated, triple X-rated things I've said to women between the age of roughly 21 and 56, I ain't never been thrown in jail. And it ain't nobody on earth who said bolder, more sexually explicit shit to women than me. I guarantee you, I put money on that. There ain't nobody who said more bolder, more sexually explicit shit to women in the first 5 minutes or less of the very first conversation. Ain't nobody on planet Earth that been more bold, straightforward, honest, and sexually explicit than me. I ain't never ended up in jail. Now, can you get fired from a job for being X-rated? Yeah, you can. So for those people who say you could get fired from your job for using really explicit language with a woman, now that's valid. I'll co-sign with that. That's valid. What? Wait. What's this? Where's my... Well, I didn't want to say his name, but I'm gonna have to say his name when I read this. John Anthony Lifestyles was outed by Undead Crown. I don't know who Undead Crown is. For having intimate relations with trans gentlemen. Am I reading that right? Holy shit. Do I have a reaction for that shit? Damn, I need a video reaction for that. God damn. Holy shit. J.A. Game over. If what I just read is true, game over. How are you still in business? That's what now I want to know. If what I just read is true, how are you still in business as a pickup artist? How are you still in business? Now, I don't always take hearsay as facts. If that's just a rumor, so be it. But let's assume that what I just read is 100% true. How are you still in business? You get some course called, yeah, I don't even want to go in like that, man. If my character does have some limits. Now, if I was to let my, excuse me for saying, if I was to let my just straight up nigga side come out, oh, dude, I would roast you for the next hour. I would roast you for the next hour based on what I just read. What the fuck, dude? You that desperate for sexual satisfaction, dude, that you hooking up with switcheroonies, as I call them, switcheroonies? Holy shit. Oh, thank you, Ace of Spades, for this. You funny, Ace. Oh, there's my girl Felicia. How you doing, Felicia? Thank you. She always calls me the living legend, which I really appreciate. Thank you. Yes, it is. Mo one hardcore ain't for everybody. It takes a special it takes a special breed of dude. And I've always said this to be Mo one hardcore. Now, in terms of if I had to measure in terms figuratively speaking, balls level, the least ball variation you need balls for is Mo 1.5. I feel like every heterosexual man at minimum should be able to be Mo 1.5 with a woman. If you still having trepidation and confidence issues about being Mo 1.5, then just let me work with you for a few weeks or 2 or 3 months, and you should be fine. Not too many men should be having problems being, although I have ran into a few, but not too many men should be having problems being Mo 1.5. Next level up is standard Mo 1. Now that takes balls compared to the average man in society. Mo 1 takes balls. Mo 1 hardcore takes big ass balls. You gotta be a badass motherfucker to execute Mo 1 hardcore. You gotta be the type of dude that I don't give a fuck if women give me a negative reaction. You literally, that's, if nothing else, that's the attitude you gotta have. If you a guy who's in any way scared of negative reactions from women, like criticism, insult, and just overall negative reaction, you ain't ready for Mo 1 hardcore. Secondly, as I always say, if you don't know how to read women's body language, if you're less than average in the area of reading women's body language, Mo 1 hardcore, you ain't ready for Mo 1 hardcore. So the two things you need to execute Mo 1 hardcore, you got big ass balls and strong backbone and just generally not give a fuck about getting a negative reaction from a woman. Number two, you got to be able to read women's body language as you're approaching them. But damn, Q2 is saying it's true. He said it himself. Man, how is this dude is still in business then, man? You fucking transgender dude? Come on, man. I mean, I'm all about being open-minded, but I ain't that motherfucking open-minded, man. I'm sorry. I ain't that open-minded. I ain't never been that horny or desperate. I'll just put it like that. I ain't never been that horny or desperate. Damn. Somebody just told me that earlier today, Ace of Spades. They said that John Anthony spends as much time disparaging other pickup artists and dating coaches as he does giving advice. This is somebody told me earlier today. They said probably 60% of his emphasis is on trying to trash other dating coaches and pickup artists, and maybe 40% of his emphasis is on giving actual advice. Transformers. That's, man, come on, man. How this dude still in business, bro? Damn, damn. No truer words have ever been spoken. Grifting is real. So going back to my original thing, my original point before I get off on these interesting digressions. I don't really care. And I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not saying everybody in society or everybody in the manosphere shouldn't care about a guy's lay count or lay count percentage. If that's important to some guys, again, God bless those guys. Bless their hearts. I'm just speaking solely for book author and dating coach Alan Roger Currie. I don't give a fuck how many women you've been in bed with. Or, well, I said how many women. I guess I should just say how many people you've been in bed with. I don't care how many people you've been in bed with. Male, female, other, um, other. I care more about what was your method for getting them in bed? And I'm focusing specifically on casual sex. Because as most people know, I have different attitudes about getting women in bed for casual sex versus getting women in bed for a long-term relationship. For me, those are apples and oranges. I'm talking about strict for casual sex. Now, I think it goes without saying, me being the author of the creator of the Mode 1 approach philosophy, if you're if you're not getting women to have casual sex with you by straight up telling them that that's pretty much all you want from them is casual sex. See, when I have casual sex with women, I tell women one of these three things. I tell them either, A, all I want from you is casual sex. I have no interest in becoming your next long-term boyfriend or future husband. I've literally told women that to their face before I fuck them. I say, I have no interest in being in a relationship with you. Second similar thing was what I just said. If I don't say all I want from you is casual sex, I'll say, even though I'm attracted to you, I'm not interested in being in a relationship with you. I'm not interested in any type of long-term, emotionally profound, strictly monogamous relationship. And then the third variation I've told women is simply, I'm going to be fucking other women while I'm fucking you. I'm going to be fucking other women while I'm fucking you. See, and I've said this probably 2 million times in my various videos, live streams. See, I know what people are into, again, as I was talking about earlier, indirect verbal game. As you know, within my scheme of things, there's 2 main versions of indirect verbal game. 2 main versions of indirect verbal game. There's mode, what I refer to as mode 3. Mode 3, in a nutshell, is when you just straight up lie to a woman. You straight up lie to women. For example, you tell a woman you're very much interested in being in a relationship with them. You're very much interested in being their next long-term boyfriend. And you kind of toy with their emotions to some degree, what's known as emotional manipulation. But then once you get the pussy 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, then you just go ghost on the woman. That's mode 3. When you blatantly lie to women and indulge in blatant forms of emotional manipulation with women, that's mode 3. Mode 2 is not as egregious, but it still is not as upfront and straightforward as mode 1. Mode 2 is not as egregious as mode 3, but it's not as straightforwardly honest as mode 1. Mode 2 is when you're primarily vague and ambiguous. Vague and ambiguous. In other words, you don't go as far as to tell a woman that you want to become her next long-term boyfriend or that you want to be in a strictly monogamous relationship with her, that sort of thing. You don't go that far. But at the same time, you don't make it clear to the woman that all you want is casual sex. You don't make that's what's known as lying by omission. There's lying. Mode 3 is lying by commission. Mode 2 is lying by omission. When you lie by omission, that means you're not fully transparent with a person. You're not lying to him per se, but you're not fully transparent with him either. That's mode 2. I'm 3 times more critical of mode 3 than I am mode 2. As most people know, the main problem I have with mode 2 is that it sets you up to be taken advantage by manipulative time wasters. That's the main drawback to mode 2. It's not that it's as unethical as mode 3. Mode 3 is just flat out unethical. Mode 2, I wouldn't say mode 2 is flat out unethical, but you just end up investing a lot more time and money than you need to, number one. And number two, because of number one, you open yourself up to be taken advantage of by manipulative time wasters, which I can't stand. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over a few differences between me and some pickup artists, and then I'm going to wrap up this live stream. Then I'm going to wrap up. Hey, what's up, JFC? I didn't know you was in the chat room. Yeah, but here's my thing before I get to this final thing and wrap up. I don't know if JA has actually had sex with 1,500 people, women plus others. But let's assume he has. Let's assume he's had sex with 1,490 women and 10 others. Transformers, as they call it. Let's say that's a fact. There's no way, I doubt if there's any way he'd be able to prove that, even though he did say he keeps this elaborate Excel spreadsheet. But let's say for argument's sake, that's what he did. Here's my thing. Number one, I already stated number one, for me individually, I could give a fuck. Number two, if his clients, male clients, are not having the same level of success, why is he bragging about it? That's what I've never gotten about conventional PUAs and some dating coaches. They'll brag about it. They'll say, hey, I've been in bed with 750 women. I've been in bed with 1,000 women. I've been in bed with 1,200 women. Yeah, but how many women are your clients fucking with? If it's all about numbers. Now, I'm not about numbers, both for me or my clients. But for those people who are, how many women are your clients fucking with? See, to me, if you really want to improve your business as a pickup artist, a dating coach, you should have one of your clients bragging about, hey, after I followed JA's method, I fucked 1,000 women over the last 8 years. I fucked 500 women. I fucked 700 women. I fucked 900 women. You should have his clients bragging on their. I don't care about lay count numbers, but if you're going to emphasize lay count numbers, you should be having your clients bragging about their lay count numbers as a direct result of your advice. Drop Smite, Denzel, where you at when I need you? Now, again, I'm not into lay count numbers, but let's say I was. Let's say I was into the whole lay count number thing. I would want my clients to get on audio or get on video and talk about, hey man, because I'm on one, I done fucked like 500 women in the last 3.5 years. That's what's gonna help my business boom. But see, if I've fucked a lot of women, but none of my clients have, what's impressive about that? That's why I find it just curious and odd when the dating coach himself or the pickup artist himself brags on his numbers. Who gives a fuck about your numbers? I mean, real talk. The way I think, who gives a fuck about your numbers? Just like infill videos. Who gives a fuck if you can close a woman on a video that's more than likely fake? Who gives a fuck? What's going to grow your business is when people believe your clients are getting laid more, not you. Who gives a fuck about you? This made me laugh. Ah, I don't know why that comment right there. Elon, he remind me of one of my uncles back in the day. You know, my older uncles had that attitude like, let's call a spade a spade. Fuck all the sugar coated language. He, people call these motherfuckers transgender, transformer, other. No. Oh, shit. He's like, I don't care how you slice it. Toasted. Oh, kudos to you. You know? I mean, I'm picturing one of my uncles like sitting in his recliner chair. He like, hey, Alan, hey, forget all that other funny language. Trans is trans. No, those are dudes. Reminds me of that joke. I don't know. Some of you young people might not remember this comedian named Andrew Dice Clay. He used to have this joke that a lot of people criticize him for, but he said, hey, you know, for me, you're either gay or you're straight. You're either gay or you're straight. And some people try to operate in the middle and call themselves bisexual. Bisexual. He said, "Ah, yeah, I try to offend the alphabet community, the LBGQT community. By no means so. I want to put that out there in case somebody tries to flag me or some shit. Hey, I believe the alphabet community should maintain their civil liberties. And that's about all I'm going to say. But Andrew, going back to Andrew Dice Clay, he said, man, you either gay or straight. He said, there ain't no in the middle. He said, let's put it this way. He said, you either suck dick, you either suck dick or you don't suck dick. In the story. Ah, shit, that cracked me up back in the day. Woo. Yeah, man. That was funny. I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to. You know, I know by the Dave Chappelle specials, that group of people is very sensitive, and I'm not trying to purposely or intentionally offend anybody. sincerely. I'm really not. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just being humorous right now. But that shit was. See, now I'm gonna probably have to make this a members only video live stream. But you know, fuss is like, what's with all these terms y'all use? I don't know why that makes me laugh so much, but man, that's just okay. Let me get to the. Yeah, it's just a joke. People need to have a sense of humor. Yeah. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. Hold on 1 second, fellas. Oh, that's easy. Come on, Mouse. Why you messing up? Okay. Bob Doe, this is great. In your opinion, ARC, which one of the following is the baddest and boldest? ARC in his 20s, ARC 30s, ARC in his 40s. He forgot 50. I would have to say 20s by far. Not that I wasn't bold in my other age decades, but when I was in my 20s, oh, dude, shit. If I say so myself, I was legendary in my 20s, man. Man, I wasn't scared to say shit. I mean, again, even in my 30s, 40s, and 50s, I haven't been too fearful of saying, bold, explicit things to women. But if just for comparison purposes, oh, my 20s, man, I was a motherfucker. Yeah. Between the age of 21 and 29, I was a motherfucker. People who hung around me in my 20s would tell you, man, that shit. People used to say that all the time when I was in my 20s. They'd be like, man, Alan ain't scared to say shit to a woman. Damn. He ain't scared to say shit. Yes, I would say 20s was my most boldest and explicit. Probably when I most used Mo One Hardcore. I say kind of almost not too far behind that was my 30s. Not too far behind that was my 40s, and not too far behind that was my 50s. Um, yeah, if I had to pick one decade and one decade on, I would say my 20s. And my 20s, man, I was off the chain bold. I was, I was off the chain bold. Anyway, so I'm gonna share. Hopefully, you can see this. I know it's probably kind of small on your screen because it's actually small on my screen. But I'm going to be comparing what conventional PUAs and dating coaches who promote indirect game, what they emphasize compared to what I emphasize, which in most cases is something totally different. What they emphasize versus what I emphasize. First would be on the PUA side, a lot of PUAs will ask, how many women have you received a phone number from in the same day? I've heard many PUAs ask their clients that question. How many women have you received a phone number from in the same day? And I think most people know who's been following me for a few years. Man, I don't give a fuck about no damn phone numbers. Could give two flying fucks. Don't give a fuck about no damn phone numbers. Here would be my equivalent question that I would ask. How many women asked you? How many women asked you for your contact information toward the end of your very first conversation with them the same day you met them? How many women asked you in a single day for your contact information? But yeah, you get numbers from, say, 12 women in the same date. That don't mean shit to me. That means shit to a lot of PUAs and indirect dating coaches. That don't mean shit to me. Phone number, that don't mean nothing. Ain't no bragging rights on that shit at all, in my opinion. Nothing. That don't mean shit. Number two, a lot of PUAs will ask, how many women have you engaged in casual sex with after 3 dates or less? How many women have you been able to engage in casual sex with after the 3rd date, 2nd date, or 1st date? That's what a lot of PUAs will ask their clients and potential clients. My equivalent question, how many women have you engaged in casual sex with without going on one date with them at all? See, when you're on my level, I say this probably 1 out of every 3 or 4 videos I do. I'm going to say it again. I have never, ever, ever gone out on a date with a woman for casual sex, ever. Starting with the age of 21 up until the time I met my wife. I have never, ever invited a woman out on a date that I just wanted to have casual sex with. Only women I've ever gone out on a lunch date, dinner date, movie date, or a similar date is women that I looked at as girlfriend material or future wife material. But fuck buddy material, I've never invited a woman on a date. So that would be my question. How many women have you had casual sex with without going out on any dates with? You were able to fuck them just based on talking dirty to them and or having phone sex with them. That's what I want to know. Give a fuck about no. I don't believe in a 3-date rule. That's a standard among most conventional PUAs and indirect dating coaches is what's known as the 3-date rule, where a lot of conventional PUAs believe you should be able to score casual sex by no later than the end of your 3rd date. I say you should be able to score casual sex shit by the end of your first fucking conversation with a woman. Real talk. Now, I'll say this and who said it again. All my casual sex has come as a result of just either talking dirty to a woman face to face, getting her pussy wet, or engaging in at least 1 or 2 episodes of phone sex with a woman and getting her pussy wet to the point where she was damn near begging me to fuck her. I don't take no woman out to no Applebee's or Chili's or to the movies to score no fucking casual sex. Now, again, I go out on dates with women if I look at them as girlfriend material or wife material, but I never, and I mean literally, since the age of 21, I've never gone out on a date with a woman if my objective was casual sex. Not one time. Not one time, man. I don't believe in that shit, man. That's how you get played like a simp. And I don't want to get played like a simp. You go out on 3 dates with a woman and she doesn't give you any pussy by the end of the third date, then what you just did, you got played like a simp. Real talk. That's what you did. You got played, whether you want to admit it or acknowledge it or not. You got played. If you go out on 3 dates with a woman, or even 2 dates with a woman, or in many cases 1 date with a woman, and you don't even never ever fucking that woman, you got played like a simp. You got played for either your time, your money, or both. You get played for either your time, your money, or both. Hey, Paul, what's happening? Yeah, Paul, this is my first live stream in over 2 months. Hopefully, my audio quality is still good. It was questionable at the beginning. Okay, moving on to the third difference between me and conventional PUAs. Conventional PUAs will often ask, how many women were you able to tongue kiss and make out with as quickly as the end of your first date with them? Not fuck the woman, but just tongue kiss them and make out with them. Well, my equivalent question is, how many women were you able to tongue kiss and make out with right after talking dirty to them the same day you met them? Real talk. How many women were you able to make out with? Not fuck, not actually like get your dick sucked or fuck, but just tongue kissed and made out with. How many women were you able to tongue kiss and make out with the same day you met them just by talking dirty to them, without taking them to the movie or taking them out to lunch or dinner? Next question. Conventional PUAs were asked many times, how many women have you had casual sex with within 24 hours or less after you met them? Thank you, Paul, for giving me that feedback. Conventional PUAs were asked, how many women have you had casual sex with within 24 hours or less after you met them? My equivalent question, how many women have you had casual sex with without giving the women drugs and or alcoholic beverages? Let me repeat that. How many women have you had casual sex with without giving women drugs and or alcoholic beverages, or without being super aggressive with them physically within 24 hours or less? So in other words, what I'm saying is, generally speaking, I do think it's an achievement to get a woman in bed. If your objective is casual sex, to get a woman in bed within 24 hours or less after you met them. But the two exceptions for me would be, if you got a woman in bed within 24 hours or less after you met them because you gave the woman drugs and or liquor, alcoholic beverages, don't count with me. Might count with other people. Don't count with me. That nullifies it for me. You ain't gonna get no props from me on that shit. Related to that is, if you got a woman in bed within 24 hours or less after you met them by being just really physically aggressive, physically forceful, physically aggressive, and you get no respect from me, you're a date rapist. I tell you that. Give me your number. I tell you right now, you're a date rapist. You ain't no womanizer. You ain't no ladies' man. You are a date rapist. If the number one way you got a woman in bed was either one of these two things, if not both, a high degree of physical aggression and or drugs and alcohol, you're a date rapist. You scum of the earth in my book. You scum of the earth. I'm being real. You scum of the earth. Next one. PUAs will many times ask, how many women have you had sex with within 1 week or less? How many women have you engaged in casual sex with within 1 week instead of 24 hours or less, 1 week or less? My equivalent question is what percentage of the women that you've engaged in casual sex with did you straightforwardly tell them that you had absolutely no interest in becoming their next boyfriend or long term romantic companion? That's right. Y'all, if you're a long time follower, you know you expect that. See, straightforward honesty is one of my integral components to my Mo one approach. Under normal circumstances, most guys would say getting a woman in bed for casual sex within 7 days or less is, a fairly good achievement. But my attitude is, if you got a woman in bed within a week or less, and you use physical aggression, drugs or alcohol, or at bare minimum, you misled the woman into believing you were interested in becoming her next long-term boyfriend. You didn't make it clear that you just want non-monogamous sex. You get no respect from Alan Roger Currie. You might get respect from your subscribers and supporters. You ain't get no respect from me. You a punk. Give me your number. I'll tell you directly. You a punk. You ain't got no backbone, man. You ain't got no balls, man. You ain't got no confidence and courage. You're a punk. Verbal coward. You're a manipulator. At minimum, you're a manipulator. At maximum, you're a verbal coward / punk. Real talk. I talked about that on a recent video. Moving on. Many PUAs will ask, this relates to just lay count, asking somebody about the lay count. How many women have you had casual sex with over the last 12 months? How many women have you had casual sex with over the last 12 months? A lot of PUAs will ask their clients that or potential clients. Here's my equivalent question. How many women over the last 12 months did you invest a significant amount of time and or money into, but you never ever ended up getting laid with those women? I've actually asked a lot of my clients that question. I don't care about how many women you got laid with, because as most people know, the main objective of Mo One is actually not to get you laid. I know that disappoints some people, but helping men get laid is not my number one objective. I've always said that's probably maybe my number 3 objective is helping men get laid. My number 1 objective is to prevent you from getting friend zoned and to prevent you from wasting time and money with women who are not genuinely interested in having sex with you. So what I want to know is, let's put it like this. Let's say you had 2 guys and you put them in a room with 10 women and they acquainted themselves with the 10 women in the room. Okay? Now let's say over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Let's say over the next week. Over the next week, let's say both men end up fucking 4 out of the 10 women from that room. They were put in a room with 10 women, and over the next 7 days, they ended up both of the guys ended up fucking 4 women of those 4 of those 10 women. Okay, got that? All right. Now, in terms of lay count success percentage, they would both have a lay count success percentage of 40%. But here's what would separate them from me. Let's say guy number 1 had sex with 4 out of 10 women, but with the 6 women he didn't have sex with, he wasted a lot of time talking to them on the phone, a lot of time hanging out with them. He took them out to lunch or dinner 2 or 3 times, only not to get no pussy. And guy number 2, who also slept with 4 of the 10 women, with the 6 women that he didn't end up having sex with, he spent no more than 5 to 15 minutes talking to each one of those 6 women. Who comes out on top? And if you've been following for a while, you know I just dropped some game on you. I don't know if I'd say dropping game is in giving you some kind of technique, but game in terms of helping you better understand the value of Mo 1. The value of Mo 1. See, in a nutshell, using that example I just used, see, you can understand if you're intelligent and perceptive. Mo 1 is not about helping one man have sex with more women than the next man. That's not the objective of Mo 1. Using that example I just gave, the value and benefit of Mo 1 is so you could be guy number 2. You fucked 4 of the 10 women in the room, and the 6 women you didn't fuck, at most you spent 15 minutes talking to them. Whereas guy number 1, he took those 6 women out on 2 or 3 dates. He spent a number of hours talking to them on the phone, hanging out with them at the bowling alley and the miniature golf course and all that other bullshit. That's what I'm trying to help you prevent as a dating coach if you're my client. I'm not trying to necessarily help you increase your lay count from 4 women to 5 or 4 women to 6 or 4 women to 7. What I'm trying to help you do is prevent wasting time and money on them 6 women who ain't gonna give you no pussy. Drop Smite. Giselle. Where you at? On a next question by PUAs. How many women have you had sex with in your entire life? You know, a lot of PUAs like to talk about, like JA, he likes to talk about how many women he's had sex with, which is, again, 1,500. Like somebody, like I give a fuck. Again, if his supporters care about that number, more power to them. God bless their heart. I'm telling you about me, I could give a fuck. Because his balls ain't bigger than mine. His balls ain't bigger than mine. Again, he admitted that on the live stream, that he don't have the balls to say something X-rated or triple X-rated to a woman in the first 90 seconds or even the first 5 minutes. He admitted that on his live stream. He admitted that he does not have the ball. He didn't say it in those exact words. He didn't say in exact words, I don't have the ball. But he basically said, I would never talk to a woman in an R-rated, X-rated, or triple X-rated manner in the first 90 seconds or even in the first 5 minutes. Then that means you ain't got no balls. I ain't gonna say you ain't got no balls, period, but your balls ain't big as mine. Because I said X-rated shit to women in the first 10 to 15 seconds of my very first conversation. I got a bunch of legendary stories in that category. I've literally said X-rated and triple X-rated shit to women in the first 15 to 30 seconds after I met them. One story off the top of my head. I remember one time when I lived in California, I went to deposit a check into my bank account, and the teller at the bank was very attractive. Literally, the first thing I said to this woman, I said, ooh. And she said, why'd you go, ooh? I said, because you got some of the juiciest dick sucking lips I've ever seen in my life. And she went, oh my God, no, you didn't say that. No, you did not just say that. And I said, no, she said, I don't believe you said that. And I said, yes, you do. Whenever women say, that's one of my comeback lines. You can steal it if you want to. Whenever I say something bold or explicit and a woman says, I don't believe you just said that, my number one response is, yes, you do. Simple as that. I'll say, yes, you do. You believe I said that. And that's what I said to this woman. And we ended up talking. She gave me her number. A few days later, we ended up fucking. But yeah, that was the very first thing I said to her. I didn't say nothing like, hello, how is your day going today? Is your day going well? Okay, great. Yeah, so how's your week going? Oh, really? Uh-huh. Okay, and how do you like working here? Oh, okay, great. Like, did you grow up here? All that trivial bullshit stuff that most dudes do. Hey, yeah, okay, like where'd you go to school? Oh, UCLA. Okay, great. So, hey, you want to get together sometime and like hang out? No, I said, oh. And she said, why'd you say, oh? I said, because you got some of the juiciest dick sucking lips I've ever seen in my life. That was the first fucking thing I said to her, which took all of like 15, 20 seconds. See, you got to have big balls to say, open up a conversation like that, man. And I do. I got big ass balls. Anyway, so yeah, I said the PUAs will ask the question, how many women have you had sex with in your lifetime? My equivalent question would be, how many women in your lifetime initially, keyword initially, told you that they would only have sex with you if you were their boyfriend, fiance, or husband, but then hours later or days later, they changed their mind and agreed to engage in short-term non-monogamous casual sex with you. I'm gonna try to, Jay Hundo. I'm gonna try to. But I said I might have said something that was controversial about that community, people with different sexual orientation. I'll have to debate. But yeah, see, that thing I just said, what does that represent? I'll wait till somebody says in chat room. Just give me, well, 2 words. I was going to say 1 word, 2 words. What I said, I emphasize, what does that represent in 2 words? What does that represent? I'll give you a hint. There was a video I did a few months ago where I criticized a lot of the content in Rollo Tomasi's newest book. And I emphasized something versus manipulation versus blank. Manipulation versus blank. Okay, Certified Tyrone said, what was the question again? Okay, I'll tell you my question to men that I present to them. How many women in your lifetime initially told you that they were only into relationship sex, only into having sex with a guy that's their boyfriend, fiance, or husband? But then minutes later, hours later, or days later, they changed their mind and ended up indulging in casual sex with you. That means you did what? Okay, I was looking for one additional word. I was looking for verbal seduction, but I'll go with seduction. Yeah, seduction. See, there's a lot of guys, particularly conventional PUAs and indirect dating coaches, they'll try to act like manipulation and seduction are the same thing. No, they're not. No, they're not. Same with reciprocation. I would say there's at least 2 things. Well, I can name 3 things that are not representative of seduction. Let's start with reciprocation. Reciprocation is not the same thing as seduction. In other words, if I walk in a room and because a lot of women in that room consider me very good looking, very confident, very masculine, they just approach me and just basically throw the pussy at me. Did I seduce that woman? No. No. That ain't seduction. Anytime you have sex with a woman that's a reciprocator, you didn't seduce that woman. Anytime you have sex with a woman that's a reciprocator, you did not seduce her. The only women out of these 5 women archetypes that you see on screen that would be representative seduction would be if you got a wholesome pretender in bed or an erotic hypocrite in bed. That's seduction. So reciprocation is not seduction. Next thing that's not seduction is manipulation. If you got a woman in bed by giving her the misleading impression that you wanted to become her next long-term boyfriend or future husband, and then she gives you some pussy, See, there's literally a lot of conventional PUAs, they'll categorize that as seduction. That ain't seduction. That's manipulation. That is not seduction. That is manipulation. Seduction would be if a woman, again, starts off the conversation by telling you that she only indulges in sex with a man that's her boyfriend, fiance, or husband. And because of your persuasive charm, your verbal seduction skills, and your erotic dirty talk talents, you're able to get her to change her mind. See, that's what I brag on. When we talk about bragging, being braggadocious about shit, I don't brag on how many women I've fucked, but I definitely brag on how many women I've seduced. That's why one of my nicknames is the King. This is for the upteen town. This is not a nickname I gave myself. Women gave me this nickname in the 1990s. I am the king of verbal seduction and erotic dirty talk. I know how to seduce women. I don't have to manipulate women to get them to have casual sex with me. I know how to change women's minds. Plain and simple. I know how to change women's minds. And I'm the baddest to do it. Quote me on that. Next thing, some guys, conventional PAs would say, as of all the women you have approached and had a conversation with over the last 12 months, what percentage of those women did you end up in bed with? Anyway, yeah, some PAs will try to find out what's your lay. Next to just lay count in general, some people want to know what's your lay count percentage, lay count success percentage. What percent? How many women have you had sex with compared to how many women you've approached? I used an example earlier. Let's say you approached 1,000 women over the last 4 years and you slept with 200 of those 1,000 women. That would mean your lay count success percentage is 20%. Not that PUAs care about that. Here's what I ask men. Of all the women you have approached and had a conversation with over the last 12 months, what percentage of those women placed you in their friend zone and caused you to waste time and or money without you ever getting laid? See, I'm gonna tell you something. And I've talked about this a few times before. When you talk to a lot of conventional PUAs who do brag about their lay count and how many women they get in bed, what do they conveniently leave out? What do they conveniently, most of them, if not all of them, conveniently leave out? You rarely, if ever, hear PUAs talking about, let's say, I'll use an example. Let's say you got a PUA who, over the last, 3 years, approached 1,000 women and he slept with 250 of them for a lay count success percentage rate of 25%. And he'll just harp on that. Hey, I slept with 25% of women I approached. I slept with 25% of women I approached. I slept with 25% of women I approached. See, I don't give a fuck about that. In all honesty, I really don't. I don't give a fuck about that. You want to know what I want to know? Of those 750 women that you didn't fuck, how much time and money did you waste with those bitches? That's what I want to know. Of those 750 women that you didn't fuck, how many of those women did you take them out on 2, 3, 4, 5 dates? Did you spend a number of hours talking to them on the phone, hanging out with them at the bowling alley or the miniature golf course, taking them to the movie? That's what I fucking want to know. And those guys never talk about that shit. See, that's what I brag on. Man, I don't waste no time on bitches, time or money or effort with bitches who ain't trying to give me no pussy. I don't. Starting with the age of 21. I don't waste no time with no bitches, man. I get to the point. I either get laid or I get rejected very quickly. Let me repeat that. With the women I deal with before I got married, I either got laid fairly quickly or I got rejected quickly and straightforwardly. I didn't take no woman out on 2, 3, 4, 5 dates or spend hours talking to her on the fucking phone and hanging out with her at the bowling alley and all that other goofy bullshit. Because I cut to the point. I get straight to the point. My underlying attitude with women is basically, we fucking or not. I don't actually say it in those exact words, but that's my attitude with pretty much every woman I deal with. Hey, we fucking or not. Because I ain't got time to be wasting with bullshit manipulative head game. So for all them guys talking about, hey man, I had sex with 35% of the women I had sex with. Okay, that means out of the last, if you approach 1,000 women, you had sex with 350 of those 1,000 women. Hey, I'll congratulate you on that. But my question is this: of those 650 women who didn't give you any pussy, how much time and money did you invest into those bitches? See, that's again to make you guys realize that's what I created Mo One for. That's what I created Mo One for, primarily, is to help you quickly weed out the manipulative time waste. See, indirect dating coaches and conventional PUAs, they don't even like to talk about manipulative time waste because they know it would ruin their business. I've discussed that in more detail on previous videos. I ain't trying to waste a bunch of valuable time and valuable money on bitches who ain't gonna suck my dick or give me no pussy. I want to know about it generally by the end of my first conversation with a woman if we fucking or not. And if we not, I'm like, later. Take care. Have a good life. Next, of all the women you have approached and had a conversation with over the last 12 months, what percentage of those women did you end up in bed with? I think I just talked about this. Wait. Oh no, I read the same one twice. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the one I just finished with. Now the next question in PUA is: how many casual sex lovers and/or friends with benefits partners do you currently have in your rotation? I've heard a lot of PUAs ask that question. Hey, how many women do you have in your rotation? How many fuck buddies or friends with benefits partners do you have in your rotation? Now again, I think differently. This is true. Joe spent 100 plus hours, $500 on a woman to smash, to smirk and be like, I still got it. Still got it. Still got it. Yeah, still got it. That's a good point. Wait, did I miss any super chat? Oh, here one right here. Ace of Spades again. Thank you for the super chat. He said, I did the math one time with the guy. In a whole calendar year, some average about $200 to $400, depending on women, with the 3-date rule, with women they don't have sex with. Yeah, man. Shoot. Like I've heard guys say, oh man, it ain't no big deal if you take a woman out and say you spend like, $25 on a woman. That ain't no big deal. Oh, really now? Oh, really? Where's my? Oh, really now? So it ain't no big deal if you take a woman out and spend $25 on her, and let's say $25 on yourself for a total of $50. It ain't no big deal, huh? Really now? I got my calculator in front of me. So $50 going out with 2 different women a week. So that's $100. And let's say you do that 48 weeks of the year. There's 52 weeks in the year. Let's say you do it 48 weeks in a year. Times 48. Can you all see that? Can you all see that? That's $4,800. That's almost $5,000. Almost $5,000. If you went out on 2 dates a week, that averaged about $50, $25 for your meal and drinks, $25 for the woman's meal and drink. You went out on 2 dates a week for 48 weeks of the year. You would be spending close to $5,000. Man, if you don't think that's a big deal, more power to you. You're a financially generous motherfucker. Man, I'm not trying to spend $48 for casual sex, let alone $4,800. Call me cheap if you want to. Now, again, when it comes to long-term relationships, I will spend at least a little bit of money on the woman. Like my wife. I knew I wanted to have a long-term thing with her. I spent a little money on her when we first started dating. Not excessive or anything, but I spent some money on her. But for casual sex, for a woman I'm looking to have as just a fuck buddy, oh man, I'm one of the most notoriously cheap motherfuckers ever in the history of life. I don't like to spend $5 on a woman that I just want to casually fuck. That's real talk. I'm trying. Like somebody asked me about Bob Doe asked me about my 20s, 30s, 40s. Dude, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was almost like a semi male gold digger. I wanted women to spend money on me. I'm not even trying to be funny. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I never liked the idea of spending money on women. Matter of fact, if you've been watching me since I first got on YouTube, I said that in like my 5th or 6th video after I came on YouTube. I got on the subject of money. I said in my lifetime, probably 3/4 of the women who I've dealt with in my adult life have spent more money on me than I have on them. And that's real. I would say roughly 3/4 of the women I've dealt with in my life spent more money on me than I did on them. Particularly when I was in my 20s and 30s. I always used to look to hook up with women who was balling financially. Like if you gave me a choice, when I was in my 20s and 30s, if you gave me a choice between hooking up with a woman on a scale from 1 to 10 that was a 9 that was broke or a 7 that was making 125 grand a year, I was trying to hook up with a woman who was a 7 making 125 grand a year. So she could spend money on me. I wasn't trying to spend money on no women, man. I definitely ain't trying to spend no $5,000 on no women for no. I wouldn't even spend $5,000 on a woman for most women for even a long-term relationship. That's some bullshit. I mean, real talk. That's some bullshit. Anyway, let me get. What was my equivalent question? Okay, here was my equivalent question. I didn't get to my equivalent question. How many casual sex lovers and/or friends with benefits partners do you currently have in your rotation that are fully aware that you are currently engaging in sexual relations with other women? Boom, boom. That's what separates me from 99% of people in the manosphere, or dating coaches and pickup artists. A lot of guys be talking about, yeah, man, I got like, 5 women in my rotation. I got 4 women in my rotation. I got 3 women in my rotation. That don't mean shit. The only time having women in your rotation really means something is if every woman in your rotation knows you fucking other women. They don't have to know the names or faces of the other women you fucking, but they need to know that you fucking other women. Otherwise, you ain't got no balls, man. You're manipulating those women. I told y'all about an extreme scenario, and this is an extreme scenario. A friend of my cousin's years ago, man, he had a rotation of about, I don't know, 4 or 5 women. But what he did was make every woman in his rotation think and believe that they were his serious girlfriend. And when one of the women found out that he was fucking other women and that he had been lying to her, she came to his crib and shot him in the fucking head. Now, is that going to happen to every guy or a lot of guys? Realistically, no. But still, it just shows you it can still happen, even if it's a rare extreme case. She came to his crib, shot him in the fucking head, man. Because she didn't like being emotionally manipulated. She shot his ass in the fucking head. He's dead. He never lived after that day. I shouldn't be laughing at this. That's actually horrible. She, what does that tell you, though, man, about emotional manipulation of women? She had to know before she pulled the trigger that she was going to be going to prison. She was so angry at this motherfucker, man. She made the decision, I'm willing to go to prison to end this motherfucker's life for fucking with my emotions. Think about that. This, I got a chapter in my book, No Free Attention, on women who are mentally and emotionally unstable. Obviously, she was in that category. And that's what I say in that chapter. Man, you never know who you fucking with, man. Now, see, a woman who's emotionally healthy would never go that far. But you might be dealing with a woman that's mentally and emotionally unstable, man. And if you fuck with her emotions, she might go as far as to say to herself, I'm willing to go to prison to make sure that you are dead and never fuck over another woman again. That's what a crazy bitch will do. A normal, sane bitch, no, she wouldn't. She ain't gonna go that far. But a crazy bitch, that's how they think. Their attitude is, I'm going to go to prison in exchange for ending your life for fucking with my emotions. Same with dudes. I don't want to make it seem like it's just women who do that. There are dudes, same thing. And I tell women the same thing. I tell women the same thing. I say, you keep manipulating men and toying with men's emotions, and you're going to come around, you're going to fuck with the wrong motherfucker on the wrong day. And minimum, he's going to date rape the fuck out of your ass. Not saying that that's right, but if he's crazy, at minimum, he's going to date rape the fuck out of your ass. A step up from that, he's going to beat the shit out of your ass. And a step up from that, he's going to kill your fucking ass. So I don't just pick on men. I talk to women a lot about that. I say, don't be fucking with a man's ego and emotions. You don't know when you're going to fuck with the wrong motherfucker. You don't know when you're going to fuck with the wrong motherfucker. I hate to say it, but sometimes I didn't even put myself in that category. Y'all know my stories. I'm not going to rehash it. But let's just say this. There's been 3 times in my life I was within 5 minutes away from killing them. All when I lived in LA. Each one of those 3 was when I lived in LA. I was 3 times I was within 5 minutes from killing them. They but yeah, man, you just gotta watch who you fuck with, man. Final one. Other than your wife, fiance, girlfriend, or main girl, how many mistresses or side chicks do you currently have? I've heard uh, PUAs ask their clients or potential clients that question. Other than your wife, fiance, girlfriend, or main girl, how many mistresses or side chicks do you currently have? What's my equivalent question? How many additional polyamorous lovers do you have that your wife, fiance, long-term girlfriend, or married girl knows about and approves of? I don't believe in mistresses or side pieces or side chicks. That's for cowards. That's for punks. It's real talk. That's for punks. That's for motherfuckers ain't got no game. They ain't got no dominance game. They ain't got no verbal game. Dude, I ain't cheated on a woman since my college girlfriend when I was 20 years old. The last time I cheated on her. Since then, I've never cheated on one. Anytime I've had 2 or more lovers, the women I was fucking knew I was fucking other women. And then that shit. Starting with the age of 21 up until now, every time in my life I've had 2 or more lovers, the women I was fucking knew I had at least one additional lover. They knew that shit and they accepted it. They accepted my program. If you're a bad motherfucker, man, women will accept your program. If you're a punk, they won't. In the story. Denzel, where you at when I need you? $5,000 is too much for the chick. Exactly. Exactly. I would almost say that's too much for guaranteed pussy. unless you just really, really balling like that. That's too much for guarantee. But for damn sure, $5,000 for the possibility of fucking a bitch? The possibility of fucking a bitch? Man, please. I ain't never simped like that in my life. I ain't never simped like that in my life. That is too much for the possibility of fucking a woman. Thanks again, Ace of Spades. Ask them if they would spend $5,000 on a woman who says no, and they know ahead of time isn't going to give them any pussy. And see what, exactly, Ace. Exactly. Who will spend $5,000 on one woman or multiple women if they know ahead of time that they ain't gonna get no pussy or get their dick sucked? Come on, man. I don't believe in spending no money on no woman for the possibility of getting my dick sucked or the possibility of fucking a woman. Hell, fuck no. So there you have it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I've heard a bunch of people talk about a thin line between love and hate. I've seen that a long time ago. I'm gonna have to watch it again to refresh my memory about that movie. But yeah, a lot of my followers and supporters bring that movie up. It's kind of similar to Fatal Attraction. Kind of loosely similar to Fatal Attraction, but a little different. Yeah, with Martin Lawrence, a thin line between love and hate. Yeah, in that movie, Martin Lawrence basically he was mode 3 with a woman. He wasn't even mode 2. He was mode 3. He flat out lied to this woman and told her he loved her just to get some pussy, and then she became crazy. Now, some of the movie is done in comedic fashion. It ain't a full drama like Fatal Attraction or Play Misty for Me, but it's still effective though. Thank you, Q2. Oh, here's my guy, 100K Main. You can say I ain't gonna go into detail, but he kind of, in an indirect way, prompted this live stream. So shout out to him, kudos to him, much love and respect to him. He kind of indirectly prompted this live stream. Anyway, I've been on now for too long. I wanted this to be no more than an hour and a half, and now I'm almost at 3 hours. So thank you for joining me for this spontaneous live stream. I don't know when I'm coming back on a YouTube live stream, and I don't know if I'm gonna keep this up. I gotta decide. I might put it on members only. I'm gonna decide. So, all right. Where's the stop sharing? Much love and respect to you guys. Thank you for your support. Thank you for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1. Mode 1. Daddy, can I go, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, king. Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive your intonations are, the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice, how you could make her pussy so wet just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
I bet the king would fuck me really good. Alan Roger Currie.
Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie, the king.
The king.
The king.
I have to agree with you on the communication piece, because I actually did take a session with Alan Roger Currie, and he gave me a line that I did not think was going to work, and it worked. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh my God!
Currie guys, man, he's the master. He's the master of the verbal seduction. He got that communication piece down pat.
It really worked. It just simply worked, and I just didn't think it was going to work at all.
Some guys have natural handles. Some guys have a better natural shot, but you can always improve your shot. And sex is damn sure something you can fucking learn. Look, dude, you want to learn how to talk better? I'm hiring Alan Roger Currie to get my dirty talk game on, because it's always been something I want to get better at.
Verbal seduction, man. I'm like, clearly, this guy's the Michael Jordan of seduction. Like, come on now.